Hey there, and welcome. I'm Anna Hartman, and this is Unreal Results, a podcast where I help you get better outcomes and gain the confidence that you can help anyone, even the most complex cases. Join me as I teach about the influence of the visceral organs and the nervous system on movement, pain, and injuries, all while shifting the paradigm of what whole body assessment and treatment really looks like. I'm glad you're here. Let's dive in. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Unreal Results podcast. Have a little special episode for you. As most of you know, I don't do a ton of guest podcasts, but when I do, it's just because I like the person and I want to chat with them and we have good conversations. And so I want to share it with all of you listeners. And also, my other big thing about having guests is that they fit what they're talking about fits into this whole organism approach. And the guest today, Amy Young, she definitely fits that approach. I've known Amy since maybe 2019, I think. And I found her on the internet somehow, devoured her content. At the time she was doing relationship coaching, and just loved her vibe and started working with her and just, I mean, I'm still single, so I don't know.
So let that just be a word of warning to everyone.
Word of warning, no. But no, I got so much out of the initial working with her, and then as she grew into new parts of herself and new parts of her profession, I sort of followed along and just still loved it. And now we've always sort of spoke the same language, but now I feel like it resonates even more. So yeah, that's what I want to bring her on. So without further ado, Amy, welcome to the Unreal Results podcast.
Hi.
So I would love for you to give your little spiel to everyone of who you are, what your background is, what you do now.
Yeah. Well, I'll just start by saying how fun it is that I get to be here with you. I love when we have time together. So I'm just like, oh, hey, I get to talk to you for an hour. And it's so cool to get to be on your podcast because I'm all about the work that you do and the way that you speak about and teach on and lead your whole mission in the world and everything. So this is such a treat for me. Hi everyone. I am Amy Young. I am a coach. I work with women. Typically nowadays, I work with women who are moving through really big transitions, often women who are kind of in the midst of big awakenings in their lives, realizing the way that I've been doing things is not working anymore. Something needs to change. It often involves things happening in the body that can sometimes be mysterious. My journey was very much that way. So I'm sure maybe we'll get into that, but I've been a coach for over 10 years. Like you said, I started out in the dating and relationship space and had a big YouTube platform, and things have kind of just evolved as I've grown and changed over the years too. And it's been really cool to have this experience of people, that maybe I've some clients who followed me from, 2015 or something, from really early YouTube days. And they're just like, yeah, I've just grown as you've grown, and we continue to kind of just evolve together. So I feel really blessed in that regard to have so many amazing members of my online community.
Yes, I love this. Well, it's funny too, what you said about when you work with women that are going through big changes. And I'm like, isn't that why most people go people reach out to coaches when whether they realize they're ready to go through a big change or not, it's something's happening that they either finally feel uncomfortable enough to make a change, or sick, I don't want to say sick enough, but sick and tired of feeling or not feeling like they're living life to the fullest, or sick of pain randomly that can't go away. And so it is interesting because it's same reason someone often comes to a therapist or a coach for help too, right? Is everything doesn't feel right in their body and they need help. And so I think it's just really interesting often how at the end of the day, being in relationship with each other, helping each other is like, that's like a fundamental piece of any type of coach, no matter if you're a health coach, a life coach, a strength coach, like a therapist, a physical therapist, athletic trainer, like it is like sort of, well, the important thing is like realizing that you're just sort of a guide to help somebody back to them. I always tell to help somebody back to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And which is interesting because we get labeled so often as the expert. And most of what I do, and I know that you do the same, and that why we resonate so well together is like, yes, I'm an expert in like understanding the anatomy and like pathophysiology and things like that. But at the end of the day, I'm always like giving people back their power
Mm-hmm.
and their autonomy and making them realize like your body is giving you messages and like let's figure out how to decode them.
Totally.
So it's like I'm like, oh yeah, same. And I also love that there's so many, and just take pain for an example, because I know a lot of people come to you with physical pain too. And so it's like, it's just interesting to me always that it's like, the person's in the center, and then there's all these other ways to get to the center to help that person when we're all dealing with, when it's still pain, right? Like,
Yeah.
because, most people listening to this podcast know pain is not like um an input. Pain is an output, right? Pain's coming from our brain. So that actually makes it so cool because you can reach it in so many different ways when the physical modalities do fall short or are not accessible. And I think that's a big thing too. It is like having people know that like people in chronic pain, sometimes the manual therapy modalities and the exercise modalities that are traditionally applied to them, like they're just not accessible for them. There's so many other layers that you got to get through.
Yeah. And I mean, I 100% agree with everything you're saying. And also, it's such a tricky thing because so much of how we're taught to relate to a practitioner or someone who's providing a service is like, oh yeah, they, like you said, like they're the expert and they have the answers. Like I remember I once heard this spiritual teacher, Sadie Whip, who I really love a lot. Like she describes it. She works with people with a lot of like mystery illness. And she's like, the current collective model is like, oh, doctor smart, patient stupid.
Yeah.
And having been in that patient seat before, like I've had a history of chronic pain and having to resolve it in really like mysterious, untraditional ways because I was going to the smart doctors as the stupid patient and like couldn't get any answers. But the thing that was so astounding to me for so long when I was like just unraveling that whole experience for myself was like how much, even knowing everything that I know and understanding like I am a powerful autonomous being and yeah, this pain is not like my enemy and adversary. Like there's something going on that's asking for my attention and I can be responsive to that. The instinct to still assume like, no, this other person's going to have the answer.
Yeah.
This modality is going to be the silver bullet solution to this problem. Like, oh, I'm going to listen to this webinar and it's like the orientation towards I'm helpless in this, even when we know everything we know, is like so sticky.
Yes.
And that's been something as well that informs the way that I work with people where, like you said, I have it woven into my practice and in my business in so many ways that I'm constantly like reminding everyone that I'm like, I don't have all the answers. And like, I am 1,000% an imperfect person, still in progress, still in process, still learning things all the time. And like, wanting to just as much as possible, like level that playing field. So we're not playing into this thing of like, oh, expert, authority, smart. Oh, like student, learner, stupid. Cause it's not, it's incorrect. It's unhelpful. It's bogus.
Definitely not helpful.
Yeah.
I think sometimes too, like the appealing part of that old model is that oftentimes you're just so tired of not feeling great that you're just like a little bit of like I give up, I'm overwhelmed. Even your nervous system, you like tend towards dissociation and like shut down freeze mode. And so
Yeah.
you're just like, I want somebody else to like carry this for me a little bit. And I
Mhm.
want somebody else to like fix me because you feel helpless in being able to fix yourself, or like you just
Mhm.
don't know where to start.
Mhm.
Which also like sometimes this comes up in terms of, um, I always tell people like I have to remind myself of what the patient's expectation is when they come to see me versus my expectation. Because, as someone, for me to be successful in the setting of career I'm in, I've had to be like very like masculine energy, like take action, like do the things, like, like be the expert, like put on that, like I know everything hat. And I always like also say like everybody in their mid-20s, like to early 30s, like you think you know everything, like yeah, like, but I easily wore that hat, right?
Mhm.
And so when someone comes to me, I have this expectation that I'm going to try to fix them immediately. Like one visit, I'm going to make you feel better. And which I get those results quite a bit, but also when I have to sometimes reframe it and realize like most of the time when somebody's coming for help, especially when it's a complex patient or someone with chronic pain, they don't expect you to fix it in one visit. Like they
Mhm.
know like I don't want to say impossible, but they know it's going to take something, and what they're looking for is just someone to like be like, I hear you, I see you. You're not broken, and I'll put on my private investigator hat on, and I will help you figure this out. And I will like think of all the angles that can be leading to this, like the physical, the emotional, the, psychological, the energetic, like all of it. And if I don't know the tools to help, I'll pull in some people that will. Like
Mhm.
people are almost like, whether they realize it or not, they're seeking out a case manager,
Mm.
like,
Mhm.
and I think so many doctors kind of fall flat on that, is like they don't know how to, because of the system often, they don't know how to hold space and just also admit that they don't know what to do, but they're willing to help, right?
Yeah.
Like it's one of those things that it's like, it's often so simple of what somebody needs from us as the caregiver. And because we get glassed over eyes with the like, or they're coming to me for answers, I better have an answer. And if I don't have
Totally.
an answer, I'm less than.
Yeah.
Um, Instead of the person just wants to be like, are you listening to me? Like,
Yeah. Well,
and
and
like NLP, like validate what somebody's saying and then repeat it back to them. And
yes.
when it's like, that works.
Yes. Like it's like the benefits of just like presence. Yeah, just like being with someone.
Mhm.
Because that's the other thing too, a couple things that are coming to me as you're sharing is like we really tend to undervalue just how healing it is and rare it is for someone to be like really listened to
Yes. Yeah.
and listen to in a way where it's like I'm not listening to like fix and I'm not
Yeah.
listening to correct. I'm listening to like be with you
Yeah.
in this and yeah, to provide a level of presence so that you know like you're not alone in this and
Yeah.
what's happening. And that alone is so relieving
Mhm.
for someone's system to be like, oh, there's somebody else in this experience with me.
Yeah.
But the other thing that you're speaking to, which I think is so important for any caregiver, helper, healer, practitioner of anything, is like as soon as I make someone else's results or experience about me and like am I doing a good job? Am I good at what I do? I've lost the plot
Mhm.
entirely.
Mhm.
Like that's and that's something that I really respect and appreciate about your approach so much and when I hear you talk about your process, I'm like, "Oh, you are so like in service to like the body and the being
Mhm.
that and not that, I mean, I'm sure we all have moments, right, where we're like in our heads about something or feeling like insecure or being like, oh, like maybe I shouldn't have said that, like you like Monday morning quarterback the assessment or something. And you're just like, oh, I don't know if that was the right move to make. Like that's just going to happen. But the more that we can approach it, like, no, this isn't about me doing a good job or me fixing this for you. This is about me like being in process with you and doing, like you said, like doing everything I can to assist you in alleviating whatever the struggle is. Cause like in my world, right, I'm not doing, anytime I say these things, I'm like, I was about to say like, oh, I'm not doing like hands-on body work with people, but then I'm like, well, Amy, you never know where the paths will lead. Like I'm doing lots of shit these days that I never thought I would do before. So I'm like, I'm not trying to tempt fate. But like in my world, when I'm having a session with a new client or someone's really coming to me and they're like deep in a dark place and they're recognizing like something really needs to change or I really need to change. So much of the value that transpires on that call is someone just getting to feel like, oh, you get me and you see me and I'm not alone in this. And like the language that I use a lot is like, no, I'm gonna partner with you, like I'm not gonna fix you because you don't need to be fixed. Yeah. But like we're gonna be a team, like a united front in this experience together. And there's power in that.
Yes. I love that. The partnering. I need to switch to say that because usually I'll be like, oh, we're not fixing your body. I'm not working on your body. I'm working with your body. So that's sort of like that same energy. But I'm like, sometimes I'm just tinkering. But I'm like, I'm just, in partnership.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. And I think, this is the tough, because society does try to tell us like the medical field, like, has all the answers, and like that is just like not true. Like we like even in my 20 whatever 2-3 year career, like the things we've learned about the human body in the last 23 years are like, I'm like, we didn't know that, like that's not that long.
It's wild. Yeah,
right. Like, and so I'm like, that's the other thing that people need to keep in mind, that is like some things we just don't have the answers for, and we're doing our best out here trying to like figure it out. And I was just having that conversation with my athletes today, is like the answer, like he's very like really wants some answers, and I'm like, I feel that and I want to find those answers with you too, but I also have to like let you know that the answer may not be out there for us. Like the answer, we'll get the answer eventually, meaning like when we're on the other side of this, we'll know what we needed. Like we know what was the problem, or we'll know what the answer was in terms to get you to the end, because I have no doubt that we'll get there. But I'm like, because he's like, well, has anybody else gone through this before? I'm like, you may actually be the first person. Like, this is the thing. I was like, and it's like, even if you're not, like literally in the billions of people in the world, maybe you're not the first person. That's kind of silly to think about, though it's possible. I'm like, it's not like everything that happens to somebody gets written up and posted to the internet or in a clinical
it's in a journal.
It's like literally impossible to know if anybody else has been through this. And so I'm like, but like, let's take a step back. And like, if we had some definitive, like, this is what's going on, would it really change our trajectory that much? Like, we're doing all the things.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting. Like, and I think, our brain from a nervous system standpoint is just always seeking predictability, right? Like, I get that feeling of wanting the answers because you want some predictability, because that's what makes you feel safe. And so like, to me, it's like recognizing like, okay, I know you're not feeling safe. And so like, what are the other things, or how can I even have conversation with you to let you know that I'm listening, I hear you, I'm with you, but also we have to kind of live in this unknown space. But then can I do these other like, little, I don't want to I hate the word hacks, but like, how else can we bring some safety to your nervous system so you stop that spiraling search for answers?
Totally. Well, and this is so, I mean, one of my favorite topics is like our relationship to these unknowns, and the body, as much as it has been studied, is continuously studied, the technology is always advancing. There are things we will never
never.
understand.
Never.
Like, no, and there
Never.
will be things that happen that cannot be explained.
Mm-hmm.
There will be things that are resolved that it's like, oh, that okay, like that, I guess that just resolved itself. And like, I really, I feel like there's so much power in kind of like surrendering to that and getting right with that, that it's like, oh, this vessel, this mechanism, this thing, like, is always going to be somewhat of a mystery.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of that being something that it's like, oh man, but it would be so great if we really could understand it all. The thing that like I always go back to is when I started experiencing chronic pain and I was bouncing from doctor to doctor, I was very aware that there were different parts of me where there was this one part of me that was like desperate for diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was this other part of me that was like, actually, I don't know that I do want a diagnosis, because if this is just a weird, mysterious thing that's happening, then it can mysteriously
Go away.
unhappen.
Yeah.
Like if this is just a weird thing, and like if I get a diagnosis, and I see this with, different clients of mine who are dealing with different health issues, sometimes diagnosis or knowing a lot can be a hindrance to the healing process, because
Absolutely.
then we're devouring all this information, we're obsessed with data, we're looking at the statistics, we're trying to make sense of it all, and then we're sort of not, we're limiting the possibilities of what our bodies are capable of, or what we can do, or what's possible in terms of healing.
Yep.
I mean, and this is true. This is like, I apply this to everything in my work, like when I'm working with people on relationship stuff, I'm like, we can look at all the stats and data of like, where are people meeting each other, and like how many people are staying together married, and like, let's try and nail all of this down to the ground and make sense of it. And I'm like, yeah, and you know what else is like the truthier truth is that when it comes to like soulmate level love connection, nobody fucking knows.
Is that
Like, we actually can't chart it on a graph. And when you ask people, like, how did you meet your person? It's mysterious and it's weird. And it's like strange stories that just sit outside the range of like what we can rationalize or logically understand. And that's a beautiful thing. Like being in awe of what we can't understand or don't know.
Mm-hmm.
In my world, it's like, it's an underdeveloped skill.
Yeah.
And I think especially, yeah, in relationship to the body, like I'm continuously humbled by what my body reveals to me or shows me, or how it responds to different inputs, or what I'm doing or what I'm not doing. Like I'm constantly like, whoa, like this is an ever evolving relationship and understanding.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that you brought that up, because, and I say that all the time to people. I'm like, listen, like, we'll never know. It's so intricate. It's so seamlessly integrated. Like all the systems rely on each other. Like I'm like, the example I always give is like, listen, no one coached you. Like nobody told you the path to go from a single cell to a little embryo to a fetus to a baby, and like, and then once it's a baby, like nobody taught that baby how to like suckle, how to breathe, how to reach, how to talk, how to roll over, how to move. I'm like, all of those things are deeply embedded and ingrained in the cellular intelligence of us. I was like, so it's like, you can't, like, we'll never know. And I'm like, but also that's how I'm like, how could you not see that and be in awe of the capability of we have of like healing and changing, and yeah, mysterious aches and pains and illnesses, like as mysterious as they got there, just mysteriously going away. And I think it's just so interesting that people forget that. I'm like, Bonnie Bainbridge Cohn, like one of her quotes is like something like, I forget it word for word, but she's basically like, you have a memory of everything that's ever happened to you in your body. Like, you did it. Like, tap back into that knowledge of how like amazing of a human you are that you like just developed from a cell.
Totally.
The anatomy. I always tell people, I'm like, don't get so bent out of shape about not knowing the visceral anatomy of the nerve anatomy, because it should be easy to learn because it is your lived history. I was like, that, like, it's not that far out of reach. It's literally in our memory. And so I'm like, and often with anything, right? Like, you're overthinking it so much and you're living in a false reality. You're talking about how things should feel or how things should look or how things should be. And whenever you use that S word, we're like, our feet are not grounded on this reality, right? The Byron Katie thought process of like, you're not believing the truth. You're not believing reality. And so it's like, as soon as we just stop analyzing and thinking, because anytime we're doing shoulds, we're analyzing, we're like trying to like figure out how to do things differently, or like, making wishes of like, a different past. I'm like, that is like literally the ingredient to feel like a crazy person, is to like think about like, if I could go back and change things. Because you can't.
Well, yeah, and like how much of these efforts are just come back to, I think especially this shows up with our bodies, is like trying to control things that are not our business to control. Like, this is so funny. I was actually thinking of a conversation I had with a friend of mine. This was years ago, but she had a history of disordered eating and had a lot of like body dysmorphia issues, and she's been on this full incredible healing journey. She got into the 12 steps of Readers Anonymous and was working, through all of her disordered eating stuff. And there was this, I remember having a conversation with her where something that her sponsor and one of like the ethos of OA was like, my body is not my business. Like, what my body does, how my body fluctuates, like, oh, my body's bloated, my body's not bloated. And I gained a few pounds, I lost a few pounds. Like that, being able to actually release like, oh, I can't control this.
Yeah.
Like, was such a liberating reframe truth for her, because so much of her life had been devoted to, if I just dial in all these specific inputs and I'm counting my macros and I'm doing it's like, I'll be able to control this and get it to be what I want it to be. And bodies don't respond well. I mean, think about how it feels when someone tries to control you, like, it's like we all rebel and we're all like, fuck off a little bit. Thank you.
Copy.
And I don't think our bodies are dissimilar, like on a cellular level. I really believe like our bodies are listening, our bodies are tracking, our bodies are paying attention, our bodies are responding. And like, if we bring an energy to our bodies, or to like a session or something where it's like, I need to dominate this and control this and make this body do what I think it should be doing. It produces the complete opposite results of anything. And I've totally done that. Like, I remember when I started doing some trauma resolution work, which was like my first experience with like somatic psychology and everything, I was like, we're going to get in there. we're gonna like get all that trauma.
This trauma.
Yeah. I'm like, we're gonna like,
body.
Yeah. Like, I was like, I'm gonna hardcore attack this trauma and
trauma exorcism.
Get it. Exactly. And it was, and I learned very quickly that I was like, that is not how this is gonna go. Like, that was not the approach. But that was kind of the only way that I knew how to do things, was to approach it with this like, harder, better, faster, stronger. Like, I can power through this. I can force this. I can make this happen. And so much of my journey with my body has been like, slow down, sit down, listen. Like, you're not in charge here. Your body will show you that you're not in charge. And that's not something that we need to fight. Again, it's like, it's a partnership that we can cultivate.
Mhm. It is like so not the world we live in.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And especially with my athletes, like and this is the problem, right? He's like spiraling because he wants to control and he cannot control and he feels very out of control and nobody likes that feeling.
No.
And I get it.
Well,
and
and especially
I'm in it with them, right?
and
Like I
it's
get it
like
too.
your livelihood depends on it, you
Yeah,
know,
your
like
identity.
you have all of these people around you who are like, okay, like let's get this thing back on track. Like, yeah, there's all this stuff wrapped up and like we need to fix this.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's like a weird, like it's like one of those Chinese finger trap things. Do you remember those where it's like the
Yeah.
more you pull?
I'm not sure we can call them Chinese painted forms.
Is that, oh no, don't cancel
We
me.
can.
I don't know, whatever those finger traps are, that it's like, yeah, when you pull out, it's like it just gets tighter and tighter.
You
It's
pull
like,
and pull and it just
yeah,
locks you down even more.
totally.
Like that's such a good analogy.
Yeah.
This is coming up when we're talking because it kind of is on the same thing. You know, oftentimes I'll tell people like a reminder, like your body's working for you, not against you. Like, and also like, and it's not like, it's not you versus your body ever. But yet we set it up as you versus your body a lot. And I think sometimes the pushback of people that have chronic illness, autoimmune, or just kind of like my athlete who has just been injured over and over, like, you know, one injury, you know, can't seem to get out of the injury cycle. When I say like your body's working for you, not against you, it's like, it doesn't feel that way. That doesn't feel true. And so it feels a little like gaslighting sometimes. And sometimes even when I say it, I'm like, ooh, I don't want to say this, but I also know it's true. And it's kind of like what you're saying too, with you're not the boss of your body, like you're, you know, but I'm like, how do you, and especially given your journey with the chronic pain, like how do you navigate that? Because that is like, it doesn't feel like it's working for you. It doesn't, you know, like any insight on that? Like,
yeah. I mean, for me, when well, one, it's like getting into a, what's a word I want to use? Like, I think I realized pretty early on that I was like, if I don't find a way to relate to this that like isn't adversarial, where I'm not like, oh, my body's turning on me and my body hates me, and I was like, this is gonna be really bad. Like just like something, you know, like I just had this awareness that I was like, okay, this isn't going away. There's no clear solution here. I have to find a way to relate to this that's like manageable. Like almost like, I don't know, like I think about when I was in college freshman year and like you just get, you're stuck with a roommate or whatever that like you don't like, but it's like, okay, maybe I could like apply second semester for like a different roommate, but it's like, if I'm going to have to live with this person, I have to find a way to do this. That's
not going to make you feel like a crazy person.
Yes. So for me, that kind of became like this sort of game of like, okay, so how can I potentially relate to this in a way that's not going to make me crazy and not going to make me feel like I'm fighting with myself and my body all day? And I think especially where pain is involved, and maybe this is, I don't know if this would be similar with like chronic injuries, but when I started really assuming that the pain was like an inner alarm system. Like I was like, if this pain is trying to tell me something, show me something that consciously I'm not aware of, like number one, is that even possible that could be true? That it's like maybe this pain has an intelligence to it. Like it's not just like throwing a wrench in the mix of my life or like wanting to fuck up my day, but it's trying to communicate something to me that I'm not aware of. What might that be?
Right.
And that started this whole process for me of being in, it sounds so hokey kind of, but being in conversation with the pain in a way where I was like, okay, if I was imagining that there was something that the pain wanted to tell me, or if I kind of like dropped, you know, when I was doing, like a lot of somatic practices of like going into the center of the pain, like bringing my awareness even into the center of the pain and like listening, like what do I hear, sense, receive, like intuit, imagine, like what comes to me. And it was really fucking wild what that practice kind of revealed. Like one of the things being that by the time the pain started, like I had been very aware, like my body had been talking to me for a long time, telling me that like I needed to slow down and I was taking on too much and I needed to curb some things and change some things and shift some things. And I had just been like on this trajectory of like, no, 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 no. I'm just like, I'm building my business, I'm in the grind of it. I was total workaholic and like I didn't want to slow down. I didn't want to change anything. I didn't want to, and so when I started relating to it in this way that I was like, what's the message underneath the pain, or what is the pain trying to show me? Like all this stuff was sort of revealed to me that I was like, that's really true. Like I have needed to slow down and like my body hasn't been happy for a long time. And I've been neglecting a lot of my needs and I haven't had good boundaries. And like, all of these things that had been happening, and on this sort of like background level, I was aware of it. But then when the pain started and some other symptoms and things got really bad, it was like, oh, now I have no choice but to pay attention at a different level, and to start tending and caring for myself at a different level. But even within that, again, it's not like it's like a light switch goes on and I'm like, this pain is my friend, like it's like, I viewed it more at the end of the day that I was like, maybe this pain is my teacher.
Yeah.
And it's going to teach me some stuff.
Yeah.
And that's something that's like a sort of spiritual framework that I offer to my clients. Like if there's something in your life that you can't control, you can't make go away, it might be your teacher. And what is it trying to teach you? And that's one of those like real icky big pills to swallow sometimes, but it can be really illuminating, even just as a thought exercise.
Yeah.
To be like, if this pain was trying to teach me something, what might that be?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, I get that. That's good. I like the roommate analogy. I was kind of thinking that too. It's kind of like, yeah, at the end of the day, you always have a choice. Like you can keep believing that your body is your worst enemy and it's out to get you. I'm like, or you can believe something different. Like, and I always, that's actually, I always tell people like what feels, not to like go back to your body, but what feels better in your body.
Yeah.
Believing that it's trying to teach you something or that it's hates you.
Totally.
Yes. Feel good.
Yeah.
And so it's also like, like mercy, like I give up. Like, I'm like, it's exhausting to fight it all the time. So it's like I don't want to fight it anymore. So what is the opposite? Like what is the choice I can make intentionally opposite to that? And I also think too for people, and I mean this is for everything, right? And is just like recognizing that like it's not like you make this choice. It's not like you're like, oh, I'm going to choose to see pain as my teacher and I'm going to lean into that and like ask what it's teaching me. It's not like you do that and then like the answer is revealed. Right? It's a constant coming back to.
Yeah.
Like almost as your like sankalpa, like your mantra of like your anchor of like, okay, pain is my teacher. Like, so like, how can I lean into that today? Or like, how can I be reminded of that? Or like, oh, I see how I'm fighting with my body again. I've let go of that anchor. And so it's like a constant practice of going back to it. And I tell that when I teach my practitioners in my course, I'm always like, listen, like, it actually is a daily practice for me to like not let my ego drive the bus. I'm like, and people are surprised by that because the way I, the way I teach is very much like, oh, the body is the smartest person in the room. Let it guide you and like do all these things. And I'm like, listen, I love being really smart and I love having a lot of answers and I love being the expert. But it is a constant, like every time I put my hands on people, I say a little like mantra of like, give me a clear message. or I'd be like, like like people won't know that that's what I'm doing, but my hands are on somebody, and then all of a sudden I like lift my hands up quickly, kind of like I'm on an episode of Chopped and Time's Up. And it's like what I'm doing in that motion is like in that moment is like I've caught myself in my head either thinking about how things should feel or like thinking 5 steps down the road of what I want to do next. And that is when I know like, oh, that's my ego driving the bus. So like take my hands off them so I can reset and like go about this again. Like, okay, now how can I make this more about what their body's telling me and less about what I think about their body?
100%.
And it is, I tell people, like, it is a daily practice.
Yeah.
And like one that I just have to like set the intention for. And so I can imagine it's much like this for when your body's not feeling good, a daily practice of being like, what's it trying to teach me?
Yeah. Well, and like, I'm such a huge, well, first of all, I just want to say how much I love you offering like your process in that way, because I think for all of us, we need those reminders of like, oh yeah, it's not about me and what I think should be happening or where things should be going, or, like where I wish my client or my patient was. It's like that, all of that is just noise. Like that's just going to get in the way of being able to be present and hear what's actually arising in the moment or what's emerging or what's wanting to be seen. Like, so such a good reminder for all of us. And like, I think it's really, really important when we know all of this stuff to also just leave room for the parts of us that will feel victimized.
Yeah.
And that will feel totally sorry and sad for ourselves and have moments where it's like, yeah, today I can't look at this from a place of power. And today I actually don't feel like I have the capacity to listen in that way. Or today I am just really angry that I'm in pain, or I'm really like, with your athlete right now, like I'm actually just sick of being in this cycle.
Yeah.
Like that's as much a part of the experience as having these higher level understandings and reframes and ways of relating to it. Because part of my problem with, and I see this with a lot of women that I work with as well, who have experiences with chronic pain or mysterious pain. Like I was a person who, pretty much like couldn't be toppled. Like I was, you know what I mean? Like I was like, oh, this pain, I decided pretty quickly, I was like, this pain's not going to take me out. Like it's excruciating. I hate it. I didn't want it to go away, but it's not going to take me out. Like I can push through this. I can power through this. And there was a point that I had to get to in my own healing journey where I had to actually like accept how helpless I did feel, and that didn't make me weak.
Yeah.
That it's like, it doesn't mean anything about me that I feel helpless or that I'm scared or that I'm afraid that this is going to last forever, because sometimes too, I would have this experience with different people where I'd be talking about, I'm in pain, and people don't know how to be with other people's pain. Like they just don't, like just can't do it.
Pain or like loss, people are like,
forget it. Yeah. So I would be scared or something, and people would be like, it's going to get better. Like, don't worry. And it would be like, no, I actually just need to be in this like scared spot. Like I need it to be okay that like I don't feel safe or good in my body, and making room for that and greenlighting that experience as well, I think is so important to any holistic approach.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we will, on the, the most extreme end of the spectrum, we get really bypassy, and then we're not able to listen, right? Because we're trying to just like, put like a happy sticker on everything and be like, oh, it's actually okay. But also I think that we miss out on developing like a deeper ability to be really compassionate with ourselves and really loving and really gentle. And I know like my body responds really well to that kind of energy and input. Like, when I'm able to be really, even just I think about the different like modalities that I explored when I was healing and stuff, like a lot of it was about learning how to touch myself in a way, or having practitioners put their hands on my body in a way that I was like, oh, this is a different quality of touch. Like, you're not doing something to my body.
Mhm.
You're listening, or you're offering presence, or you're, wanting to um like, massage or provide like comforting touch or whatever it is. Like, I needed that. Like, I needed to learn how to relate to myself in that way.
Mhm.
Um and part of that was being like, I'm going to have days where I just fucking hate this.
Yeah.
And there's no bright side, and there's no, like, I can't think my way out of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, I mean, yes, that is, I often am like sharing with my athlete, like, you don't have to be positive all the time about it.
Mhm.
Here, like, that's just lying to yourself. Like, we don't have to be positive Pam here. Like, that doesn't feel right either. I'm like, ruminating in the negatives, not always. I was like, can we just be neutral about it? And
Mm.
again, taking out the shoulds usually neutralizes things. And then being like, yeah, it like validating, like, yeah, this sucks. And I'm, like, I'm with you. Like, have a day that sucks. Like, be moody, be angry, like, do whatever you need to do, and know that there's nothing wrong with that. Like,
Mhm.
I'm constantly like reminding him of that, because I
Mhm.
think you're right. Like, people feel like you have to be one way or the other all the time and don't make space for those other feelings, which I'm like,
Yes.
you kind of have to. I'm like, and also like, I think sometimes people feel like they have to constantly explain themselves to others around them. And I'm I'm like always reminding them and myself too, like, permission to like not have to explain yourself.
Mhm.
Permission to just like be a dick, kind of, like, not be your all jolly self, which, people label as like, oh, you're being a dick today. I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, just let me have a day, and being like, I don't have to explain, well, I'm being a dick today because I really feel like I'm fighting with my body and I'm pretty sick of it. Like, you don't have to say that. You can just like live in your
Mhm.
experience, and it's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Right. And
Totally.
I think that is like, it goes back to like, we're often like so performative with each other because we recognize that it's hard for other people to hold space for people in pain or grieving or, that kind of thing. It's just like, because we don't know how to feel, somebody else is like trying to modulate how they are being to protect the other person. And I'm like, don't worry about me. And I mean, and I can't tell you who to be around the rest of your life, but I'm also like, I can take it on the chin sometimes when I need to,
Mhm.
so you can have the space. And
Mm.
also, like, I don't even you think I'm taking it on the chin, but I'm just fine. Like,
Yeah.
I'm in charge of my own feelings. You don't,
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, it is, I mean, and it's so funny, right? That a lot of this, like, being in situations of re-injuries, chronic injuries, or chronic pain is like also goes back to relationship with each other,
Mm.
which it's also not surprising given how our nervous system regulates itself, right? Like, we are community beings. We're made, our humans are made to be with each other and like feed off of each other. So it's like, it's not surprising that at the end of the day, a lot of this too has to be with not only relationship to your own body, but relationship to being yourself among other people.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know.
And like, and being able to like receive help and reach for support and let people know, like, I'm actually not okay.
Mhm.
Like, I
And I'm
I
not being not okay is not me asking you to fix me. It's
yeah,
just like
just
letting you
like,
know I'm not
this is just
okay
where I'm
today.
at. And that, like, yeah, and also that, yeah, being not okay doesn't mean that we have to shrink into isolation, or that like we're not allowed to experience connection. Like, you can be not okay and be with people, and it might require some like training people in your life how to be with you when you're in
Yeah.
that spot. But because I remember there, it was everyone's default mode was to try and, offer solutions or give me ideas or tell me, well, did you try this or did you try, and I was like, I'm actually not available for that right
Yeah.
now. Like, thank you, but no thank you.
Mhm.
And letting people have their response and reaction to that. And it's like, and if
Mhm.
they felt slighted or they felt rejected or they felt like, oh, but I'm trying to be helpful. And I'm like, okay, cool. I get it. And I'm telling you that it's not helpful.
Yeah.
So like, thank you, for trying, but you're missing the mark right now. Um, it's a whole thing of really, I think in a lot of ways, like modeling what it has to look like when yeah, there's something going on that you can't control or you can't fix or that you're in process with. And like, if there's one thing that as a society we just like do not know how to handle, it's like unresolvable pain or unresolvable struggle, which is to me like very synonymous with like grief or other emotional experiences we have. Is like
Absolutely.
no one can fix it, no one can take it away. And then people are just sort of like seize up because it's like, well, then what do I do?
Yeah. You just
Yeah,
kind of live with it.
totally. And it's like,
Learn how to navigate it.
it's not a doing, it's a being. Like, how do I be with this? And how do I be with this person who's going through this? And for me, a lot of that really has come back to, and this is an assignment that I give out to a lot of my clients as well, who are going through all kinds of things, where it's like, you want to know how to be with yourself and take care of yourself, both on the days where you're feeling really strong and really capable, and you're like, oh yeah, this is just an experience that I'm going through, and I'm going to learn through this, and I'm going to grow through this, and like things can get better, and you never know what's possible. And it's like feeling really like, oh, I'm in my like power zone. You want to know how to relate to everything when that's the space you're in. And you also want to have skills and abilities and practices and things that you turn to when you are feeling really helpless or you're feeling really powerless. Because like you said, most of us will try to just be like, okay, how do I just totally align myself with feeling good all the time about this? Or like, okay, I'm just going to like collapse into helplessness and I don't feel like there's any way out. And it's going to be a give and take, and sort of setting yourself up where expecting that that's going to be the reality, that like there's going to be moments and seasons of this where I feel very capable and up for the challenge, and then there's going to be moments where I'm not up for this challenge whatsoever.
Yeah.
And like and just understanding that like that totally makes sense and is completely appropriate, and that you'll need different things on different days.
Yeah, I love that. Like it's like having some time to like think about that and like realize that you're gonna have those good and bad days, and like having a plan to informing a plan. It's like it's like a go bag, right?
Yes, totally.
Like you don't figure out what to bring when you're there's a wildfire outside. In that moment, you do it in the times that there's no fire and like things are good. You pack it and you know what you need. So it's like to have that I really do love that. Like, and even writing it down, like these are the things I do on like days that I don't feel so great. Low hanging fruit. That'll like shift things just a little bit. But here's all the things I could do on the days that I've like, feeling amazing.
Yes.
So I love that.
Yeah.
And it is, it kind of reminds me so long ago, the way you taught about like self-care of like,
totally,
like there's the self-care things that you love to do and make you feel really good. And then there's the ones that you don't love to do, but make you feel good.
Yes.
And then there's like the box where it's like, they don't feel great, but they're good for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That 4 quadrant.
And like listing that out is like really helpful, because then it's like, okay, yeah, these are all the things that I know that could be. And when you're in it, it's hard to think of those things sometimes.
Yeah, I think it's kind of impossible, because especially like you're speaking to the nervous system component, is like, if someone's in a flare up or someone's having like a really rough day in their bodies, like that is not the time to be like, oh, let me brainstorm like what might help, because it's like at that point it's just like, where's the like escape hatch? Like, I just don't want to be in this experience, So having things ahead of time that you can turn towards, and also, the people that you can turn towards, because I think that's also a thing with having good boundaries and self-awareness around like, okay, this person doesn't necessarily like have the capacity or the bandwidth to be with me if I'm having a bad day, or like, being able to reach out to a practitioner or someone who's working with you on it and being able to let them in, so so that it's like we're creating this kind of really thorough, like these layers of support that you can lean into um because when you're going through something in your body, it's such a bizarre experience because no one's in there with you.
Mhm.
And as much as people can even say like, oh, I've gone through something similar, or I've worked with people who've gone through similar things, it's like, this is something that only I am experiencing in this body and I can't get out of it.
Yes.
And that is inherently isolating and kind of scary.
Mhm.
So yeah, like letting yourself kind of get curious about what kind of support is going to alleviate that sense of aloneness or whatever is happening, and being able to like trust and know that, yeah, like even if you have a list, or you have kind of like, I love the idea of a go bag. Like if you have like, this is like the stuff that I turn to, it just it can give us, for me, it's given me such a sense of like, okay, I'm prepared. And even if the thing that I don't want to have happens, like I have tools, or I have practices, or I have a particular supplement, or or whatever it is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do love that. I mean, it's still like, I'm like, at the end of the day, you're right. It's still not easy on this.
No.
But
But it's also like, not to sound harsh, but there's something I had to like accept about my experience at a certain point, where I was just like, nobody said it was going to be easy. like in terms of life, like when hard things happen or bad things happen, I'm like, who said any of this was going to be
yeah.
easy? And like sometimes when I was feeling really sorry for myself, here's like the ultimate hack. I can't believe I'm going to share about this, but like when I would feel really, really bad for myself, sometimes I would watch these YouTube videos of people, like there's all these stories that people are willing to share who've gone through these like extremely horrific things, where it's like, oh, like 90% of my body, like my skin was like burned off in a fire, or I was born with this like horrible like disfigurement, and like people, when they see me on the street, they like scream and cry and run away from me because like I'm so like marred, or whatever. And like I remember watching some of those videos and being like, if that person can go through that and be like the heart-centered, like beautiful human that they are, and accept their reality, then like I can fucking handle this. Do you know what I mean? Like it would put things in perspective, and not from, I'm never the person, that someone comes to me with their pain and I'm like, people have it worse.
Yeah.
Like that's like not my speed at all. But in certain moments where I needed to kind of right size my experience, like I needed to have a level of awareness of like, oh wow, humans go through crazy shit
So much.
for all of time. It's always been that way, that like humans have gone through crazy stuff, and we are the most adaptable species on the planet. And like and I would think about like what my ancestors went through, you know what I mean? Like just like in drawing upon all these experiences of like, oh, this is part of being a person,
Right.
is sometimes going through hard things or going through extreme things. And that doesn't mean that, I'm screwed, or yeah, it's going to take me out, or that I'm not going to find a way through it. It's like, this is a part of what it means to be a person.
This is true. I'm always telling my husband, I'm like, hey, if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Totally.
This is just not supposed to be easy.
No.
To be the best.
Yes.
And
which is what we are.
Yeah.
And if you're listening, you're the best too. So we can all just walk around knowing
we're the best.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, I love this. Is there any? I'm like, I know we've talked about. I'm like, we've talked an hour about everything and nothing. Isn't that wonderful? Conversation. I love it. Yeah. I really appreciate the insight on the whole, like, your body is your body's your best friend.
Sometimes your best friend though.
Yeah, exactly. How your body's always working for you, not against you, and like how to reframe it when that doesn't feel so true.
Yeah.
I think that's really great. I mean, because
Mhm.
you've all been there. And I think too, like we said in the beginning, I think one of the tricks too is like, yeah, to lean into the awe about
Mm,
our origin story. You
totally.
know, like I saw this video on Instagram yesterday. I shared it with someone. And I was like, it was, I don't know, like day 29 or something, like in the embryo. And it was basically the spinal column and the nervous system forming.
Wild.
So amazing, so
Wild.
beautiful. And I'm like, first of all, the fact that you can see that is insane. I was like, but if that doesn't make you feel in awe of who we are and what we're capable of, and like, I don't know what does. And like the feeling of awe is like a good place to be.
Totally. And there's something when I'm able to tap into that sense of awe or wonder, or like it's really also it's like humility, around just like, wow, this all of our bodies, but like, even just being able to say about like your own body, like my body is incredible. Like the
Yeah.
things that my body is constantly doing on my behalf every single moment without me having to think or instruct it or make it happen.
Yes.
Like that blows my mind.
Mhm. I think the other thing too is just with all of that and like kind of a similar sense of awe is like, like our body each day is completely different, right? Like the
Yes.
way our cells turn over, like our shape literally changes forever and always. I was
Mm.
like again, that should give you it should give hope, right?
Mhm.
Our skeleton today is not the same skeleton we'll have in 7 years. Our
Mhm.
stomach lining today is not even the same it'll be in a week.
Mhm.
It was like there is so much to be hopeful about, and like there's so much to like be open to the capacity to change just,
Mhm.
in an instant.
Mhm. Well, and like seeing the truth of that,
Mhm.
that it's like, oh, I'm always changing, evolving, adapting. My body is always reaching for health, harmony,
Yeah.
even when there's some confusion or, obstruction or event or something that's occurred. It's like, the body isn't designed like in the same way, I go on these like epic forest walks and
Mhm.
stuff, and I learn so much through my time in the forest because I'll see these like sick trees,
Mhm.
and it's like, oh, that tree isn't like sick because it's a bad tree.
Right.
It's like, oh, something happened there,
Mhm.
and then learning about like how the whole ecosystem of the forest responds, like when a tree is sick or like when a tree gets cut down, right? Like the
Yeah.
root system communicates to all the other trees, like, hey, something ain't right. And all the trees will send resources and support to the sick tree. And it's like,
Yeah.
this is like the natural way of things, is
Mhm.
that like, oh, when something goes sideways or you're unwell, resources, support, like what is it going to take to restore wellness? Like that's
Mhm.
the natural order.
Yeah, I love that.
And, you know, I mean, not to totally dog it, but like so much of the Western healthcare system is like just not built off of that.
Mhm.
And so we all have to, that's one of the reasons why I spend so much time hugging trees and walking around in the forest, is because it's like it reminds me, oh, this is how things actually work.
Yeah.
That like I am an ecosystem in the way that a forest is an ecosystem, and my larger community is an ecosystem in that same way.
Mhm.
And there's natural laws that govern all ecosystems.
Mhm.
And seeing the design and intelligence in the way that any ecosystem or larger organism operates, like it can't not humble you and give you
Yeah.
a sense of awe.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. I mean, I feel like we could just stop recording right there. That was a mic drop.
Done.
I'm like, it's such a good example.
Yeah.
And then it's just funny too, is like, oh, the perfect example, because we have like the same microbiome of that whole forest, like within us.
Isn't that
Right? We
wild?
are the bacteria of that forest. Like, probably how it's all communicating. That's another podcast.
Yeah.
But no, I love that. I really appreciate you joining me and like sharing your thoughtfulness with my people. What do you got for my people? How do we find you? I mean, I know you're on Instagram.
Yeah.
Exploring your podcast.
Yeah, I've got a lot of cool stuff cooking and coming out right now. So if you listen to this episode, if you enjoyed it, definitely find me on Instagram, send me a message and let me know, because I just love getting that like real-time feedback and reflection. So yeah, at Amy Young Co is my Instagram handle. I'm in the midst of a big like website overhaul rebrand situation. So if you go to amyyoungcoaching.com, before that happens, you're going to see a really sad version of my website. And I apologize for that. Like, I'm so sorry you have to look at that. But there will be information about ways to work with me and how to get in touch with me. If, if anything I really shared spoke to you today and you want to talk more, or you believe I could support you in some way, I'd love to explore that. And then, when my website's all shiny and finished, if you go to my website and it looks amazing, then congratulations, you picked the right time. And I would just love to connect with anybody that resonated with what we spoke about today.
Is your podcast staying the same name, or are you changing it?
I am pretty sure it's staying the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is
just what you needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. There was one episode that you did, and I probably re-listened to it 100 times. It was like when I really needed to be reminded of how amazing I am, I re-listened to it. It was,
which one was it? Do you remember what it was called?
But you're talking about like, you're like, you almost refer to the person, the woman, as like the amusement park, like you're the most exciting like ride at the amusement park.
I don't remember.
Maybe what you deserve, or like what
is it Woman You Are the Prize?
Yes, that's the one.
You Are the Prize.
You Are the Prize.
That would be a good entry episode for some lady folks out there. Like if you want kind of a dose of what I'm all about. It's an older episode.
Yeah.
But everything still stands.
Still rings true. Yeah. There's still like the overarching message. Yes, I love that episode. Like when I first started working with you, and when and just whenever I was like having any like form of like self-doubt or anything, it was like there was two things I could do: listen to that episode or listen to the Beyonce Homecoming.
Wow, I am in good company. I will totally take that.
Beyonce podcast. Like it got me like hyped up. Going like, I am the prize.
Yeah, totally. Well, and that's and I want to be doing even more, because now that I'm doing more energy attunement and intuitive work with people, like the podcast is going to be different, because I'm going to be infusing so much more of that into things. So I really want the episodes to not just be like information. Like I want it to be more and more that it's like, oh no, you drop in and get a dose of something.
Yes.
That you needed. Hence the title, Just What You Needed. So something to look forward to there.
I'm very excited for it to come back.
Yay, me too.
Big fan, air freak fan.
Perfect. We're on countdown.
All right. Well, thank you, my dear. And I'll have my guy Joe link everything in the show notes. So if you definitely go check her out, check out the podcast, check out we'll just link the Woman You're on the Prize episode.
Yeah, we'll just do that.
We'll just do that. And we'll link her Instagram and stuff. And I won't link your website. I'll have them
don't link my website, because it's an atrocity. So bad.
Like she does like one-on-one stuff as well as group programs, and she's got a lot of stuff. So well, thank you.
Thank you so much. So happy to be here. Love you too.